The Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Clothing, and the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast, the Parramatta Times.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. It is Team List Tuesday. The team lists have dropped. It is Tuesday. It is round number 17 of the NRL Premiership. Before that, though, on tomorrow night, Wednesday, the Blues take on the Maroons in Game 2 of State of Origin. The men's State of Origin. Check out my game day preview podcast of that one, which is out now. Let me know your thoughts about the scores, the first try scorers, and who you have as man of the match. And then on Thursday night, up in Townsville, we have the Maroons taking on the Sky Blues in the series decider of the Ampol Women's State of Origin, game number 3. How exciting is that? One apiece. Queensland winning in New South Wales in Game 2, and the Sky Blues winning at Suncorp Stadium just before Magic Round up in Queensland in Game 1. So it is a decider. So I wish both the Blues and the Sky Blues good luck in their respective games. That kicks off tomorrow, and that Maroons and Sky Blues game is on the Thursday night. So no Thursday night NRL, but make sure you watch the Women's State of Origin Game 3 decider. The competition, the NRL competition, kicks off on Friday night. There is 7 games, I should say, being played this weekend. 3 teams have the bye in round number 17. The Gold Coast Titans, who had that massive win against the Warriors up there at the Gold Coast, so a well-deserved break from them. Also having the bye this weekend is the Sea Eagles and the Rabbitohs as well. So the Rabbitohs on a little bit of a run in the last few weeks, winning, I think it's 4 on the trot. But anyway, they're having the bye this weekend, and hopefully for them, not like my side, the Parramatta Eels, when they have the bye, they go down on the ladder. Maybe they might hold their spots on the ladder, or maybe even sneak a little bit up further. I know for the Rabbitohs fans out there listening, that 2 points for them is good. That gets them closer to the top 8. But anyway, to the tipping and to the round now. If you have been listening to the tipping podcast that I have been putting out each and every week of the NRL, I am sorry about my results. I again had another tragic weekend of tipping. I think it was 2 out of 5. Absolutely hopeless I am, but I don't know whether that's just because this competition is well into the competition now, being round 17, and teams are working out teams and teams are getting into their groove or what, but I don't know, because there is some upsets happening and there are teams that I think can win, don't win, and vice versa. But look, I must apologise if you are following my tips. I am sorry about that, but I am hoping that this weekend I get 7 out of 7, because I need it. In my tipping comps that I am in, I am going down, 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 just like the Parramatta Eels, who are now last on the ladder. Anyway, it kicks off Friday night, 8 p.m, the Bulldogs taking on the Sharks, and this is the Bulldogs in 6th spot on the ladder, playing pretty well at the moment. The Sharks in 3rd position now, and there's a few changes for both sides. Blake Taff, he comes into the fullback spot for Connor Tracy, who is serving the concussion protocols at the moment after being concussed last weekend against the Roosters up there at Gosford. So he gets the fullback spot there. Bronson Sherry, he comes back into the centre position. Look, how impressive was Jarrell Skelton on the wing there for the Bulldogs last week against the Roosters? Had a cracker of a tackle. It is a bone-jarring tackle. Go back and see if you can check it out. It will probably get tackle of the year so far, I reckon, and also scored a great length of the field try as well. Matt Burton and Toby Sexton in the halves, and other than that, pretty much their side doesn't change much. Viliami Kikau, he is back in the second row. He'll be even better for his second run. He came back last week against the Roosters as well. For the Sharks, Braden Hamlin-Uele is out, but the good news is they've obviously got Nico Hines back there at halfback as well. Look, he'll be probably wanting to prove a point to the New South Wales selectors that he would want that New South Wales halfback spot after he had it in game 1. Lost it in game 2 to Mitchell Moses, but depending on the result, who knows, he might get it for game 3. But look, these sides relatively unchanged and relatively not involved in State of Origin, so they won't have many players backing up in this one. This game, I should say, actually, is played at Accor Stadium in Sydney, 8 p.m. Friday night. Now, is it just me or is it you guys, the listeners? But if there's only one game on a Friday night, why can't they kick it off at 7:30 p.m? Let me know your thoughts. I just think that if there's one game on a Friday night, why not go back to the old time slot of 7:30 p.m? Just finishes that little bit earlier. I know it's the weekend the next day, and you know the school kids, they have the day off, and some people have that day off work. But look, one game on a Friday night, you got to wait until 8 p.m. Put it back to 7:30, I reckon, NRL. But anyway, back to this game. Look, I'm gonna go the Bulldogs in this one. Look, I just think, even though they lost to the Roosters last week, they still played all right, and they have been playing some all right footy this year. As I keep on saying it, and you're probably sick of me saying it, they are the most improved team in 2024. I just think the Sharks, I think they might struggle a little bit in this game. They had the week off last week, and I don't know how they're going to recover after that one. So, look, I'm going to go the Bulldogs in that one. In that first game on the Friday night. The second game of the round is Saturday, 3 p.m, sees the Warriors take on the Broncos over there at Go Media Stadium in Auckland. Now, the Warriors in 13th position absolutely got hammered by the Titans, 66 points to 6. Try and say that one really fast. To the Titans, the Broncos, they had the week off. And they are sitting in 7th spot. Haven't really hit their straps, I don't think, so far this year. They have had major injuries to Reece Walsh and also Adam Reynolds as well, their captain and halfback. So a little bit of a disruption there. One player who has been injured but is named to make his return on the wing is Jesse Arthurs. So that's good news for Broncos fans. Look, we'll just go through the Broncos side first. Tristan Saylor has been named at fullback. Look, all the Origin reps, they have been named on the extended bench. So your likes of Reece Walsh, Payne Haas, Pat Carrigan as well. So, look, they've been named on an extended bench. They will be monitored to see how they can get through the game on Wednesday night, the State of Origin game for Queensland. Bit of a fair hike to go from Melbourne to New Zealand, and only a game a couple of days, 3 days after that, after an Origin game. So they'll be monitored, see how they go. They may play, but see what happens in the State of Origin game. But Tristan Saylor, he's named at fullback for Reece Walsh. Selwyn Cobbo is named. Ezra Mam, Jock Madden is a halfback. Billy Walters. They've still got a pretty fair squad anyway as well. Xavier Willison, he's one that has impressed me this season going forward. He's a big man, does some big runs. He's got the mullet haircut as well, so he is one player that has impressed me and a lot. For the Warriors, sad news today with Sean Johnson out for about a month with an Achilles injury. Tamari Martin, he comes into the halfback spot, and Chanel Harris-Tavita, he goes into the 5'8" spot where Tamari was playing. So that's not good news for the Warriors. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, he comes back onto the wing after suspension, so that's good news. He can score some crackers of tries in the corner. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck there, what a joke that was. I thought of him being sin-binned in that game last week against the Titans. Absolutely. Look, that tackle could have gone wrong, and it could have gone wrong and injured the opposition, but I just think it was a copybook tackle and a really hard rugby league tackle. So I think if you ask most pundits, they would think that was a copybook tackle, a great tackle, and a rugby league tackle, and Roger shouldn't have got 10 in the bin. But anyway, he didn't get suspended. He is playing in the centres there. Wade Egan at hooker. Mitch Barnett, who is the 18th man for New South Wales, he has been named in the second row there for the Warriors. Kurt Capewell on the interchange bench. He'll be playing for Queensland, so he'll be, I guess, monitored as well. Freddie Lussick comes onto the interchange bench as well. Look, I don't know how the morale is over there in New Zealand after that thrashing to the Gold Coast. I think they will want to really prove themselves and come back with a win. It is in New Zealand. I think they may have another sellout. The crowds over there are unbelievable, selling out every home game over there for the Warriors. I just think the Broncos, the Warriors, they really need this win to climb back up the ladder, because, as I said, they're in 13th spot. They want to keep in touch with this top 8, and if they leave their run too late, they will miss out on finals. They have 15 points. They sit in 13th spot. The Cowboys, they are in 8th spot at the moment on 18 points. So the Warriors are only 3 points out of the 8. The Broncos, they are in the 8 on 18. So it is a crucial game for the Warriors, as was last week's one. But this one, that last week's loss makes this one an even more pressure game for the Warriors, a more crucial game for them. They need this win. They will step it up against the Broncos, but I'm going to tip the Broncos in this one. Tough road trip to go to New Zealand and win, but I just think the Broncos will get this win. The second game on Saturday, 5:30 p.m, is the game that I will be at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle. Sees the Newcastle Knights take on the Parramatta Eels. Now, the Newcastle Knights in 12th position on the ladder. My Parramatta Eels, 17th on the ladder. Very disappointing. The only team in NRL history who could have a bye and actually go down 3-4 spots and end up on the bottom of the ladder. But anyway, I don't know how that works. But anyway, the Newcastle squad, Fletcher Sharp, he retains that fullback spot. Dane Gagai, who is on the extended bench for Queensland, he's in at the centre position there. Tyson Frizzell, captain. Kai Pearce-Paul on the interchange bench. And also, there was going to be a Newcastle debut as well. Will Price, a fellow Englishman as well, in at 5'8". So a new half 5'8" combination for Newcastle with Jackson Hastings in the halfback spot. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes. I haven't seen him play before, so very interesting to see how he goes there. The Newcastle Knights, they have lost their last three. 26-18 to the Panthers, 36-28 to the Storm, 32-2 to the Bulldogs. Before that, having wins against the Titans and the Tigers. So 3 out of their last 5. However, for the Parramatta Eels, only 1 out of their last 5, and that was a win against the Sharks, 34 points to 22. This is the first time this season that these two teams are playing. Last year, it was a 43 points to 12 win against the Knights that day. That was at CommBank Stadium. A massive win there for the Eels. But for them, this weekend sees a few changes into this side. Look, Mike Acevo, he has been named in the winger position. I don't know, could he still be injured? I think it's a hamstring injury. I think they can be pretty up and down, so I may think that he might be touch and go, see how he goes, and probably the final decision will be made closer to game time, game day. But he has been named. Sean Russell in the centre, Blaze Talangi on the wing, Dylan Brown. Mitchell Moses has been named as the halfback for Parramatta. Again, just have to wait and see what happens after Origin. But he has been named. Regan Campbell-Gillard, Brendan Hands, Junior Paolo, Sean Lane gets a starting spot in the second row. Bryce Cartwright is his second row partner. Joe Offahangawi gets that lock position. Now, the number 14, very interesting, Matt Arthur. Congratulations. Looks like he's going to make his debut on Saturday. Player 846, I think it is, for the Eels. Under-19s New South Wales co-captain. They got a win last week in their Origin game. He scored a try and was pretty in much everything. So congratulations, Matt, on making your NRL debut. It'll be great to see you in that blue and gold in first grade. Rip in, mate, and give it a good crack. Matt Dury as well. He returns to the Eels lineup. Interchange number 16. Ryan Madison as well on the bench there as well. So a very interesting squad there. Look, Parramatta, they are under so much pressure at the moment. They are having a season to forget. They will want to get a win. It's going to be tough up at Newcastle. I don't know. Should I tip with my head or my heart? Do I need points in tipping comps? Yes, I do. What is it telling me? What is it telling me? I'm stuck on this game. Look, I'm going to tip Parramatta. I'm going to tip Parramatta to win this game. I think they can. It's going to be tough. I think it'll be a bit of a mid-range scoring game. But if Mitchell Moses comes through unscathed in Origin, I think he will back up. He will be the key for Parramatta. Again, with that combination with Dylan Brown. Coming back from Origin, that'll give him confidence as well. Something he can bring back to clubland. I'm going to tip Parramatta in that one. The last game on Saturday sees the Storm take on the Raiders. So first versus 10th down at Amy Park in Melbourne. The Melbourne Storm, look, they are just keep on rolling on, don't they? They are one formidable side. Xavier Coates has been named. Also, Harry Grant in hooker as well. Look, this is a pretty good lineup for them. Probably their strongest lineup that they could name, minus Nick Meaney and probably Cameron Munster as well. But when you can have Suafalongo on at number 22, you're going, all right, I would have liked to have seen him again play some more NRL, and maybe slot him in somewhere on that interchange bench. It's a very big forward-based interchange bench, but it would have been good to see him play some more NRL. He is an excitement machine, but this Melbourne side, they just keep on rolling on. The last time these two teams met, this is the first time for them as well. 48 points to 2 to the Melbourne Storm. Absolutely smashed them. Unfortunately for the Raiders, this could be something again like that. The Melbourne Storm, 4 out of their last 5 games they have won. They got away with a win in a cracker of a game. 30 points to 24 against the Dolphins at Suncorp Stadium with Origin players out. It was still probably the game in the round, but Melbourne got the win in that one. The Raiders, they went down 48 points to 24 to the Tigers. The Tigers' second win in a row. Out at Campbelltown there, and then previous to that they lost at home to the Cowboys. So look, they are struggling a little bit at the moment, the Raiders. Tom Starling, he comes back into the side in at hooker, which sees Zach Wolford drop out to player number 19 on the extended bench there. Canberra do have a good record down in Melbourne. They do seem to get a win or two here and there down there, most notably a few years ago in a finals game, also a club game as well. So they do have a pretty reasonable record down there. I don't know what it is down there. I don't know what it is exactly, but they have a pretty good record. So here we go here. 8 out of 14 times, 57%. Look, it's not bad. So they have a pretty reasonable record. We do know that the Amy Park can be a bit of a fortress for the Melbourne Storm, but I'm going to tip Melbourne in this one. I think they'll just be too good for the Raiders. Sunday, the Dolphins take on the Dragons at Netstrata Jubilee Stadium in at Cogra. The Dragons in 9th position, the Dolphins in 5th position. As I said, the Dolphins lost to the Melbourne Storm last week at Suncorp. The Dragons had the bye. This is a pretty fairly interesting game. The bookies have got them matched pretty sort of evenly. The Dolphins going in as slight favourites, but look, the Origin players for the Dragons, Zach Lomax, Ben Hunt and Jaden Sewer have been named, and yeah, so that's probably strongest side that they could name. Moses Sully comes back into the centre position. For the Dolphins, Jack Bostock, who is a cracker of a player and can score some great tries as well. He is unfortunately out of this clash, serving concussion protocols, and so Tessie New comes onto the wing for him. The Hammer, he's been named back at number 1, which unfortunately sees Trey Fuller go back to number 21 on the extended reserves bench. So, again, another player that you would love to see play more NRL, but unfortunately he's got to make way for the Hammer. So, Cody Nikorima, Isaiah Katoa in the half 5/8. Look, both the clubs are in red and white, so this will be interesting. I think the Dolphins, they may have a black jersey that they could play in as their away jersey. I think they do anyway. I'm not 100% sure about that one. I'll have to check Watch Your Team. They know they've got everything. They are sponsors of the Dolphins as well in the lower grade, so I'll have to check with them and see what they've got, the black jerseys. The Dolphins, otherwise it's going to be a colour clash. So, look, the Dragons and the Dolphins. Again, look, this is a game that I think is going to be hard to tip. Although the Dolphins, they are the better performing team this season. I think the Dragons may find it hard to come off a bye. Maybe the Dolphins, they've got that roll on. I'm going to tip the Dolphins in this one. Sorry, Flanner. I'm going to tip the Dolphins in that one. The next game, 3 games on Sunday, actually, which is the second game, is the 4:05 game. The Panthers take on the Cowboys at Bluebet Stadium in Penrith, one of the last games that they'll be playing there before that ground is redeveloped. The Panthers sit in second position, just cruising along nicely to their 4th straight premiership, just cruising along nicely, even without Nathan Cleary. The Cowboys, they sit in 8th position. I think it's the first time that they are... The first time they've been in the 8 this season. They just had their first bye on the weekend. They've still got another 2 to come, so that will be pretty handy for the Panthers. Their origin players have been named. Dylan Edwards, Brian To'o, Jerome Luai goes back into the halfback spot. Liam Martin, Isaiah Yeo as well. So they will be named. And again, this is a pretty strong side. The only probably most notable omission that I can think of is probably Nathan Cleary at halfback. But we've seen the Panthers, they got that next man up mentality, and that person is Jack Cole at the moment, playing 5/8 with Jerome playing halfback, and they get the job done. The Cowboys, they've been a bit up and down lately. They have been winning games lately to get back into that 8. They're at 4 from their last 5. They lost to the Warriors 42 points to 12 just recently, a few weeks ago. The Panthers, as I said before, they just keep on cruising along. They had a little hiccup against the Dragons a few weeks ago, 22 points to 10, but they had wins over the Newcastle Knights and the Manly Sea Eagles as well. Both games, the win against Manly was at home. The win against Newcastle was up in Newcastle. The last time they met, it was a close affair. It was back in April this year, so one of the earlier rounds. It was up in Townsville. The Panthers got the win, 26 points to 20. I think the Panthers will get the win as well. Even though this game is played at Penrith and both sides have a lot of origin representation, I think the Panthers will get this win over the Cowboys. And the last game of the round, Sunday, 6:15 p.m, sees the Roosters, the 4th place Roosters now, take on the West Tigers, who are in 16th position. So they've got up over the bottom of the ladder now. They're one spot in front of Parramatta. So interesting move here by Trent Robinson. Satili Tupanua comes into the centre position, so I'd really love to see that one. I do like Satili as a player. I believe he could be on the open market for next season as the Roosters try and contain Angus Crichton, I think it is. It'll be interesting to see. There was talk that he may go to the Bulldogs next year. Just have to wait and see what happens there. But this is probably their strongest side that they could probably name, I think, just by looking at it. Connor Watson, who is the number 14 for New South Wales, making his debut, is in lock. At lock, Brandon Smith retains his position at hooker after that off-field discretion, missing a team meeting. Jared Waerea-Hargreaves, I think he becomes the equal top playing Rooster, I think. So he's in the enforcer's position with Terrell May as well. Lindsay Collins, who will represent Queensland, is on the interchange bench, number 17, so he'll start the game from the bench. For the Tigers now, how good did they play last week against the Raiders? 48 points to 24. Absolutely smashed them. Jareem Buller. But number 4, Adam Dewey. How good was his try? Outran KO Weeks, who has a lot of speed. And Adam Dewey coming back from... He's had 3 major knee injuries. The last time he played was, I think, April 2023 last year. So coming back from a major knee injury, scored a great try. So great to see him there. Lachlan Galvin as well. He got a double, his first 2 tries in the NRL. A lot of talk about Stefano Utukamanu maybe cracking that $1 million mark as well, and testing himself out in the market. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up. Api Coruscant goes to or captain in the hooking position. Maybe, just maybe, one of the players unlucky not to get a New South Wales start this year, but David Clemmer back on the interchange bench from suspension. So look, this is going to be a tough ask for the Tigers. The last 2 weeks have had great wins against the Titans and the Raiders, but this is going to be tough to get a win over this Roosters side, who just, again, like the Panthers, just keep on cruising along, getting the wins, going up that ladder. I think it's the Roosters for me in that one. Okay, so recapping the tips there. Obviously, I'm going New South Wales in the State of Origin game number 2 in the men's. I'm going the Sky Blues in game number 3, the series decider in the women's State of Origin. I'm going to go in the NRL. I'm going to go the Bulldogs, Broncos, Eels, Storm, Dolphins, Panthers, and Roosters. Now, follow those tips if you dare. As I said at the beginning, I have been tipping. My tipping has been pretty useless and not very good. So if you would like to follow my tips, they are my tips. If you have different tips to myself, let me know. And let me know why you've gone the different tips as well. That'd be quite interesting to know why. But let's hope I can get 7 out of 7 this week, a perfect round. That would certainly make me very happy and hopefully get me a little bit higher up on these tipping comp ladders with not so many rounds to go. I think 10 rounds to go in the competition. I think there's 27 rounds this season, so time to get the tips right and get those perfect rounds and climb up that ladder, just like those Eels. Anyway, as I said before, I'll be at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle on Saturday for the Eels versus Newcastle. So if you see me out and about, come and say g'day, and we'll talk the Eels, what's going on there. I know we probably don't want to, but we'll talk them anyway as well. So thank you very much for listening. Enjoy your Origin football, enjoy your NRL football, may your team win, and may your tips be just as good as mine. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll catch you next time on the Para Cave podcast. Go Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. See you next time.